So we welcome in our co-hosts for the day. Now, normally I'd lead with the Admiral, but I got the mogul here this morning, so I got to go to the owner first.
Good morning, Rob, and good afternoon to our 4 o'clock audience.
Michael Hornby, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good to have you with us. The Admiral Bill Stubblefield, 2-star.
Good morning, Rob. Another day, another new word.
That's right. You pulled off Herculean the other day.
I'm going to try to introduce a new word every day.
You were quite eloquent with the pronunciation of Herculean after you invented a new word, Stagmire.
That's Stagmire, yeah.
Which
right.
Everyone liked, even Senator Manchin.
I think I should get credit for that.
You will, yeah. Also, a bonus co-host in this 8 o'clock hour, the New York Times bestselling author John Gilstrap, whose work was featured in the local newspaper recently.
Good morning.
Great to have you.
Nice to be here. The word of the day is the mineral molybdenum.
Try that one, Bill.
I know it's MO, so that's what I refer to it.
At least you know that. I don't even know what he's talking about.
Don't push the envelope, Rob. I survived the other day, but don't push the envelope with words.
The Mega Millions jackpot this weekend is $670 million, also known by the Admiral as chump change, because Tesla stock is up to $422 a share now.
Tesla stock lost $1 yesterday. I'm depressed.
Pre-market trading, it's back up $4 a share, so you're good.
That's good.
You got it all back and then some.
I'll rub back into. For the ones that do not know, Rob and I exchange the price of Tesla several times a day.
For different reasons, though, entirely different. Bill got in when Elon Musk thought of the letter T for the name of the car, so his cost basis is about 1/50th of a penny per share right now.
And you did what?
I sold on the way at 150 because there was a year ago, what was it, April, there was no positive news about Tesla. The pickup trucks were catching on fire. The stock was diving in price. It had dropped like 50% on the year. They were talking about further regulation of it. And there was just no good news on the horizon. So I sold it at 150. It went down to 140. I was patting myself on the back for a good decision, and that's the last time I touched my back.
Okay, and what is it now, Rob?
$422.77 a share.
I read yesterday, if you had invested $1,000 in Apple in 1980, any idea what it would be worth today?
I think
Just
about
checked Rob's portfolio because I think that's exactly what he did.
About $27 million. I think.
2.5.
2.5? That seems low.
It does, yeah.
Our guest via telephone is the state auditor and attorney general-elect J.B. McCuskey. J.B., good morning. Do we have? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I had to hit your button.
Apparently?
Yeah,
what do I get to be?
J.B., good morning. I didn't hit your button, so no one heard anything you said.
Oh, yeah, I want a nickname. We've got the Admiral and the Mogul. I want a nickname.
All right, we're going to work on that.
All right, that's fine.
Be careful what you ask for, man.
I don't know if that's what you want, JB.
We have a whole list, JB. Take your choice.
Oh, geez, they sounded positive. Maybe they're not. I don't want you telling everyone what you call me when I get off the phone, for sure.
We just say JB the AG. What an SOB. That's all that goes around here, baby.
There we go.
Yeah, man.
I love initials. What's going on? Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas,
JB.
Yeah. Hey, you and your office, the Melissa Beavers case earlier this week, we had some extensive interviews about that, and the conviction, ultimately the sentencing, which took place this week too. And they credited Joe Kinzer, who's going to be the new prosecuting attorney in January and is an assistant prosecuting attorney now, credited your office with the work that was done in regards to the auditing of the books that provided the evidence for these convictions. JB, can you enlighten us?
Well, Joe's a heck of a guy, and will do very well by the citizens out there. He's a really good lawyer, and will be a great prosecutor too.
Indeed. Yeah. What was your office's involvement, and when did you get involved?
So these cases come about from a variety of reasons, and in this particular case, it was a whistleblower case. Somebody called and told us that there was something amiss, and we started just sort of digging into the records, and it became pretty apparent that the control level that was the controls that were in place in the clerk's office had started to wane as the person who was holding that office was starting to get to the end of their career, and this is something that happens. But what needs to be known is that there are no such thing as small frauds, just frauds that we catch quickly. And in this instance, it's a perfect example of why we harp so significantly with all of our local government partners that your process is as important as your diligence, because the process is what prevents people from being able to do this. In this instance, there were a myriad of factors that opened up the door for this defendant, now felon, to perpetrate this scheme. And it's really, really sad for the people of the county, because, at the end of the day, every single dollar that the government has is theirs. And every dollar that is being stolen or wasted is a dollar that could easily have been solving the problems that people face every day. And so we take our job very seriously. We don't celebrate these cases. We try to use them in a way to educate the public and to educate other public officials about what to look for. And we're hopeful that the lessons learned in this one can prevent the next one.
How many, as you look back on your time as the auditor, JB, roughly how many types of these cases have you had your office involved in during your tenure?
So we started the Public Integrity and Fraud Unit within the first year of me starting 8 years ago. And in the roughly 7 years that the Public Integrity and Fraud Unit has been in existence, we are well into the 60s of felony fraud convictions of public officials throughout West Virginia.
That is sad.
Which is a really sad state of affairs, and I wish I could tell you we were getting to the end of the list, but we're not. The list is ever growing.
JB, of the fraud in the county or in the government offices, is there one office more susceptible to fraud than other offices?
No, not specifically. At the end of the day, any place where there's money, people are going to try to steal it. And, that's true in regular life as it is in government, right? People steal from the bank, and they steal from the grocery store, and they steal from their regular employees, and they steal from their government employees. So, at the end of the day, fraud monitoring and the prosecution of fraud is something that will probably never go away. But I think we are getting significantly better at our data analysis and our process improvement to find these things faster and to start closing these doors faster so that the fraud stays small and the people get convicted early.
How much AI do you use in your process?
Some. We are really working out the kinks in that. So at the end of the day, AI was created in a way that wasn't specifically fraud monitoring. And one of the things that we found challenging about applying AI to fraud monitoring is that AI is very good at finding what isn't fraud. And the whole idea of fraud is that it is non-logical. So, the person who is perpetrating the act is doing something that is out of the ordinary and difficult to sort of program, if that makes sense, because they're all so different. And we are really using AI more to make the haystack smaller, meaning there's less things to look through to find the fraud. And we're very hopeful that we can start to find some trends in how frauds are perpetrated and the motivations of the people, so that we can train the AI in a better way. AI at the end of the day is created by humans, and so it has to have a human element to it, and it has to learn based on what we teach it. And we're hopeful that the amount of data and the amount of information we're able to put in there is going to make the AI function better going forward.
JB, this is John. As I understand it, this case was caught by a whistleblower within the county. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there a system in place had that not happened, and had there been, I don't know, hypothetically, a larger conspiracy? Is there a check in the system where it would have been caught at a level outside the county eventually?
Good question.
Yeah, eventually, yes. And there were supposed to be checks within the system that would have caught this faster too. And so the main purpose of our audits, the ones that are done by the auditor's office, are to ensure that the systems are working properly. So we don't test every single financial transaction. We take small portions of them, and we test to make sure that the backup plans, right, like the idea that two people have to sign every check, and that every county commissioner has to review every invoice, and all of the transactions are being reviewed in real time throughout the year, to ensure that this is happening. One of the things that we find is that when our office does the audit, we find these things pretty quickly, and we are working through the list of some of the private auditors that do these cases to make sure they're doing their job correctly, because we have been finding in several recent instances that sometimes the accounting firms are a little less, how should I say this? They're a little less thorough in their reviews. And so we will be working with the next auditor coming in to try to give him some insight into how this works, and to maybe some legislative changes that might empower the auditor to do a few more of these audits as opposed to bidding them out.
JB, Mike Hornby here. You mentioned the next auditor.
The mogul.
I had a conversation with past delegate Caleb Hanna. I know he's transitioning into your office, and he was telling me how impressed he was with the organization within the office. Is that transition happening now?
Oh yeah, we actually allowed Auditor-elect Hunt to bring his own staff on board. So we've actually hired, I believe, 4 of his future employees. They're already on the ground in our office. They're already getting their feet wet. They're already learning the processes, learning the people, and working through what's going to be their vision for the office. And I think having that ability for Mark to come in and meet with his team as they're already employees in the office is going to be an absolute game changer for him. You know, he's going to get in there on the first day, and his key players are going to know exactly who all the people are, what all the offices are, what all the duties are, and hit the ground running and really be a terrific team of people to lead that auditor's office going forward.
Do you think your legacy as auditor is going to be the WV checkbook, which I find just to be an amazing tool to be able to look at West Virginia finances for the public, for legislators, for everybody?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. You know, there's so many things that we were able to accomplish in that office. I hope the legacy of what we've accomplished in the last 8 years is that people have started to realize why that functionality of government is so important, because it permeates throughout all of government, right? The checkbook is designed to do 2 things. One is to empower citizens to be able to hold their government accountable, but also to empower legislators like you to understand what the government's doing, to make great decisions while they're in the legislature, while they are on the ground making decisions. They can look at bureaucrats and say, hey, you know, we gave you an extra $100 million last year, and you are functioning at a much worse pace and functionality than you were before. And hopefully dispel this notion that the only way that government can solve its problems is by spending more money. There are process issues throughout our bureaucracy, and the only way you ever get to the process is if you can stop the false narrative that more spending equals better government. And that is just, it is untrue. It has been proven untrue at the state and the federal level. And the empowerment of both decision makers and taxpayers, I think, is the only way that you're ever going to get to the bottom and the root causes of the reasons why our government is unsuccessful.
JB, you mentioned the word process 2 or 3 times. Except for an investigation where you're working very closely with the county, do you have any? Do you work with the county clerks or the other officers in the county for process to tell them what suggest what they should be doing? Is there a formal way of doing this?
We work with them every day, and we do trainings multiple times during the year for all of our county clerks, all of our county sheriffs, all of our. We work with the assessors. We work with all the mayors. We work with all the county commissioners, explaining not just what the changes in the law were, but what the changes in the best practices in government accounting are, and ensuring that there is a disparate system of accounting systems throughout the state. It's something that I am very hopeful changes at some point, something we worked on, but we're ultimately unable to really get over the hump. Having one unified system of accounting for every local government would be an enormous benefit to auditors, to the auditor's office, and I think ultimately to every local government, because we could start to build those in a cloud-based way. So these changes would then happen in the course of the system upgrades. And we think that in many instances, our local governments, you guys have a little bit of a different situation out there because of your population growth and the sort of affluence of your counties. But a lot of our counties don't have the revenue to purchase first-class and modern accounting systems. And we're hopeful that in the future the legislature will see fit to either fund these counties to buy the tools they need or to allow the auditor's office to purchase that for them.
Auditor and Attorney General-elect J.B. McCuskey, our guest here on the program. I want to go back to the 60-something fraud cases you talked about your office investigating, J.B., and more to come, I believe you indicated as well. So if I'm you or your office and we're investigating an embezzlement of, in this particular case, I think it was $270-something thousand, and then ultimately we get proof, we get a conviction, is that person or persons' assets frozen at the time of the indictment so that we can then quickly recover funds from their accounts, or is that a more complicated process?
So the answer to your question is that's up to the judge. And yes, they typically are, but we don't frequently find instances where people steal money to put it in a savings account. And, some of the sort of unifying factors of a large majority of our fraud cases is that people start stealing to satiate some kind of behavior that they don't want other people to know about, whether it's gambling or substance abuse or adultery. Very, very frequently people are struggling with something on another part of their life. So typically the money that they steal has been spent and used by the time sentencing comes around, which means that they are going to have to figure out another way to earn money and pay restitution. I'll tell you one thing that I was really thankful for in this case is that this defendant received actual jail time. We saw yesterday where President Biden commuted the sentence of this woman named Rita Crumwell. Rita was the largest municipal fraudster in the history of America. And there's a documentary about her called All the Queen's Horses. But she stole nearly $60 million from one little town in Illinois, Dixon, Illinois, the home of Ronald Reagan, I believe. And I can't for the life of me figure out why this person was chosen by the government to have serve a smaller sentence. And what irks me is that I use her example and the facts of her case as a training model for all of our local governments. We say, look, this woman, Rita, was well respected in the office, and she built the perfect fraud environment. And she was able to steal, what is an amount of money that was equal to at least their entire budget. And it's just frustrating to me when we treat white-collar and government criminals in a different way than we treat the average person. There are people who are going to spend significantly more time in jail for things that I find significantly less offensive to the general public than stealing $60 million from a government.
Especially a small town.
Especially a small town. And, we just worked with the United States Attorney down here in the Southern District to uncover a $3.1 million fraud case in the school board of Boone County. The school board of, if you've ever been to Boone County, that Boone County's got a lot of challenges. And the kids there need every opportunity they can to be successful. And we have alleged that a member of that school board, not a school board member, but an employee, was able to take $3.1 million out of the coffers of one of our more struggling school systems in the state. And when you have the federal government saying, these crimes are the kind of things that deserve clemency, it really sends the wrong message to the people who are considering stealing money.
The Attorney General's office released a statement yesterday that they'd come to a settlement with some drug companies, Pfizer, one of those, for $17 million. This is as Attorney General Morrissey wraps up his term as AG and moves on to be governor. Do you get consulted on these things as the Attorney General-elect, JB, and would you prefer that some of these settlements slow down so that you can review them once you take office?
No. General Morrissey has proven himself to be a wildly effective Attorney General, and he is completing his work as our Attorney General until January 13th. That is his job, and I will trust that he's going to